Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my channel, Passion for Poetry. I'm Passion and I love poetry. I love music, I love rhythm, I love rhyme, I love alliteration, imagery, enjambment. I love metaphors, especially with meaning, good tone, syntax, similes, and symbolism, like a phoenix that's on fire. And while we can't argue about the beauty of poetry and its ability to educate, illuminate, and illustrate the fundamentals of just being alive and life itself with all of its complex emotions and incredible experiences, it is also very necessary in its use as a weapon. But I mean a weapon for peace, a weapon for protest, and a tool for change. Because I think we can all agree that war is not something that any of us want in our lives, or to know that our friends or family are stuck in the devastating predicament that war puts you in. Sometimes the most effective poetry is so direct it cuts your heart open and just takes your breath away with the message. And it's so clearly written for you to acknowledge. And so I am reading two poems today that addresses this topic of war. The first is to highlight the consequences of war, and the second is kind of like giving us some advice on what we can do, what you and I can do as an individual to speak up against these atrocities when we see them. So please join me now and in the discussion and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to see them. So the first poem is called The Diameter of the Bomb by Yehuda Amichai. The diameter of the bomb. The diameter of the bomb was 30 centimeters, and the diameter of its effective range about 7 meters, with 4 dead and 11 wounded. And around these, in a larger circle of pain and time, 2 hospitals are scattered and 1 graveyard. But the young woman who was buried in the city she came from, at a distance of more than 100 kilometers, enlarges the circle considerably, and the solitary man mourning her death at the distant shores of a country far across the sea includes the entire world in the circle. And I won't even mention the crying of orphans that reaches up to the throne of God and beyond, making a circle with no end and no God. So, how does this poem impact you? How did you feel when I read this to you, and what do you think it tells us? So for me, the poem's progression kind of mirrors the actual circles of devastation a bomb's effect can have on a population, from the people to the hospitals, the graveyards and graves, to this poor man who is mourning and the orphans who are crying. The circle widening the scope further and further until the ripple effects of this violence touches the entire world, and even on through generations and generations. Ultimately, it can even leave a person feeling that there is no God, or that God has forsaken them due to the actions of men and the unfettered events of a world at war, impacting them in a way they did not ask for. We do not ask for war, and we do not ask for violence and death. I would say the great majority of us want peace. So what can we do about it? And this next poem speaks to that in all of its brevity and simplicity. Look, I've seen a few very similar versions of this poem, and I've chosen this version to share with you today. And really, it's about taking action. It's called First They Came for the Jews, and it's attributed to Pastor Martin Niemöller. First they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I did not speak out, because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. At the end of the day, there is one thing that ties us all together, and that is that we are one race, the human race. And what happens to one of us, it really happens to all of us. Hopefully it doesn't take an invasion by aliens one day to help us to see this. I do believe that in the far off chance that aliens do actually exist and are actually able to find us, the things we can be most proud of to show them is music, mathematics, engineering, agriculture, caring families and friends, and all the arts we've created. But what we would be most ashamed of is war and murder, and not caring enough about either. I think a true sign of our next evolution as the human race is the total elimination of war. Then we know we've taken the next step. A little bit more of a serious one today, guys, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think it's really important. And if this message hit home, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It helps spread the message and the impact of poetry can and does have. The next one is going to be a great episode, a little bit lighter, much more fun, but this is an important topic. See you in the next episode.